Welcome to the Sparkroom webinar series. Sparkroom provides full-service, data-driven marketing and technology solutions to ignite your performance marketing. Our webinars provide actionable advice and insight to help you better strategize, execute, analyze, and optimize your marketing campaign efforts.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michelle Verlin, and I'm the Marketing Manager here at Sparkroom. I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar, 2015 Paid Search Benchmarking for Higher Education. Sparkroom is a leader in performance marketing, providing fully transparent, analytics-based strategies that achieve challenging marketing objectives. Sparkroom provides both marketing services and marketing software, allowing for improved efficiency of data-based marketing campaigns. The Sparkroom Marketing Services team focuses on the management of media plans that incorporate a variety of performance-driven channels. Sparkroom Marketing Software integrates marketing data, automates processes based on performance, and provides robust, multidimensional reporting and analytics. On your screen, you can see the recent awards we won. The 2015 Integrated Marketing and Technology Award in the Targeting category from Chief Marketer, and the 2015 University Business Reader's Choice Top Product Award. Also, the 2016 Leads Council Leader Awards, a gold for Most Valuable Technology and a silver for Best Marketing Agency. Today's presenter is Chelsea Hicken, Senior Paid Search Strategist. Chelsea has been with Sparkroom for 7 years and likes helping schools grow their brand and generate quality leads and enrollments to meet their goals. Chelsea also enjoys working in Google and Bing and continuously testing new strategies to improve her clients' campaigns. Before Chelsea gets us started, let me point out some functionality on your webinar control panel. This panel is located in the top right corner of your screen. If you can't see it, look for an orange box with an arrow. If you click on an arrow, the box will expand. If you have any questions during the session, please type them into the questions box, and they will be addressed at the end of the presentation. I also would like to assure everyone that you will be receiving a copy of the presentation as well as a link to the recording early next week. Thank you for joining us, and now I'll pass things over to Chelsea.
Thanks, Michelle. So today we'll be walking through the highlights of the 2015 Paid Search Benchmarking Report, starting with a review of the definitions and acronyms used throughout, looking at global benchmarks, a campus versus online analysis, device analysis, year-over-year mobile growth, and we'll finish up with some planning strategies and our expectations for 2016. So to start off, we'll just review some of the definitions and acronyms used throughout our report and this webinar. So starting with branded and non-branded terms. Branded terms are the keywords or keyword phrases utilizing the school name or any other trademark terms. And note that phone calls are also labeled as branded terms throughout our report. Non-branded terms are the keywords and keyword phrases that do not utilize the school name or any other trademark terms. Program and general phrases are all considered part of this non-branded category. CPC is cost per click, CPE is cost per enrollment, CPL is cost per lead or cost per inquiry, CTR is click-through rate, CVR is click to conversion rate. A click conversion is the act of completing an inquiry form after clicking on a paid search ad or clicking the phone number to call the school directly. This is used interchangeably with inquiry and lead. And throughout our actual report, we've noted which metrics include form inquiries only and which include form plus phone call inquiries. Enrollment is being used to identify an inquiry that achieved either an application, enrollment, or a start milestone. A form lead is an inquiry acquired through a completed form, which is captured within Sparkroom marketing software that passes all of the client's specified validations to be considered a good lead. And a phone lead results from a phone call with the specified key presses and validation and duration to be considered valid, and that can be initiated from a click-to-call button in an ad or from the phone number on the landing page. So now we'll move on to our first analysis, which is the global benchmarks. The global benchmark charts are a summary view of all of the accounts we looked at with 2015 data summarized for branded and non-branded keyword terms. This first view shows the share of impressions, clicks, spend with the average CPC and click-through rate. So we see that the majority of the impressions in 2015 were generated by non-branded terms at 70%, but the bulk of the actual clicks came from branded terms with 60%. Branded terms have higher click-through rates and significantly lower CPCs than non-branded terms, with the average CPC for brand terms at $3.25 and the average for non-brand terms at $20.83. So with much higher CPCs, it's not surprising that the non-brand terms represent the bulk of the overall media spend in 2015 with 81%. When we looked at the quarterly performance for the year, we saw that the average brand CPC rose pretty sharply from Q1 to Q2 of 2015, but then there was very little fluctuation into Q3 and Q4. Throughout the year, the average brand CPC rose about 46%, starting at $2.38 in Q1, finishing at $3.49 in Q4. However, we did see that the average CPC for non-branded terms actually dropped about 9% throughout the year, starting at $21.83, finishing at $19.84. We also looked at Q3 and Q4 of 2014 compared to that same period in 2015 and saw that brand impressions increased pretty significantly while the non-branded impressions decreased. Branded clicks also grew considerably year over year, up over 100%, but non-branded clicks only increased about 18%. CPCs followed a similar path, with brand CPCs up nearly $1 year over year and media spend more than doubling. And the average CPC for non-brand terms, it fell in 2015, and the non-branded campaign spend only increased about 8% year over year. So moving on to the share of lead volume and average CPL. Brand terms generate more leads than non-branded terms, both for the groups of form leads only and form leads plus phone calls. Branded terms also have significantly lower cost per lead. When we looked at the second half of 2014 versus the second half of 2015, we saw that there was a significant increase in brand form inquiry volume, but only a slight increase in volume from non-branded form leads. So next we'll move on to the last view of the global benchmark data, which is outlining conversion rates and enrollment volume. The average click-to-conversion rate for form leads plus phone leads is higher for brand terms than non-branded terms, but when we take out phone leads and look at form only, non-branded terms actually have a slightly higher click conversion rate for 2015. So not only did brand terms generate more inquiries, they also represent a significantly larger share of the actual enrollment volume and have a higher form lead to enroll rate as well. So all of these trends here really just indicate a shift towards more aggressive campaign management for the high converting branded terms and a reduction in the reliance on the more expensive, lower converting non-branded terms. When faced with a more competitive marketplace, schools just often don't have the budget required to be successful with broad general keyword phrases, so instead they focus their spend on their core branded terms that are proven to convert well. And now we'll move on to a campus first online program analysis. These next two charts summarize the 2015 performance of the schools we looked at, breaking out campaigns promoting campus-based programs versus those promoting online programs. So here we see that campaigns promoting campus programs have lower average CPCs and CPLs than those promoting online programs, but the click-through rates are pretty comparable. Campus campaigns also represent a larger share of the lead volume, with 80% of the form lead volume from the year. When we looked at the second half of 2014 compared to the second half of 2015, we saw that clicks rose for both campaign categories due to improved click-through rates across the board in 2015. Campus-based program campaigns saw a decrease year over year in average CPC, but the overall media spend still grew 42%, and form inquiry volume grew 66% for campus-based programs. Online programs also saw growth, just not as significant as campus-based. So the media spend for campaigns promoting online programs rose 11%, and form inquiry volume rose 12% in 2015. Looking year over year, there was little fluctuation in the average CPL for online programs, but campus-based program campaigns saw a $40 decrease in their CPL throughout 2015. So next we'll take a look at the conversion rates and enrollment volume for campus versus online program campaigns. So here we see that the click-to-conversion rate is higher for campus-based campaigns for the groupings of form and form plus phone leads. Campus campaigns represent the larger share of enrollment volume with 80%, and they have a slightly higher enrollment rate than online programs at 10.6%. Looking year over year, there was little fluctuation in the conversion rates for online campaigns, but campus-based campaigns saw a 20% increase in click conversion rate, going from 5% in 2014 to 6% in 2015. So these changes clearly reflect the state of the higher education marketplace. The online program space continues to be super competitive, requiring more aggressive spending to deliver growing lead volume in order to achieve clients' enrollment objectives. The campus-based market is still competitive, but year-over-year volume growth for specific geographic regions, it's more achievable when you have smaller geo-targeted campaigns promoting these ground campus locations. And now we'll move on to the device analysis. So the device analysis outlines the 2015 performance by device, listing the breakdown for all campaigns, and then separating out campaigns that promote campus and online programs. This first view looks at the share of impressions and clicks. So we see that desktop computers made up the majority of the impressions for all campaigns and for both campus and online program categories, with over 50% each. For click volume, when looking at all campaigns, volume was split evenly, with 46% between desktop computers and mobile devices. But looking at campus campaigns, mobile has a larger share of clicks with 49%, and for online campaigns, desktop still has a larger share of clicks with 51%. In the education space, we definitely see the majority of searches occurring either on mobile or desktop devices, since the volume of impressions and clicks is very low on tablets. This next chart looks at the breakdown of form leads and CPL. So mobile devices represent a slightly larger share of form leads than desktop computers for all categories, all campaigns, campus, and online campaigns. And again, we see that volume from tablets is very minimal here. In terms of CPL, looking at all campaigns, mobile devices have a lower CPL at $217 than desktop and tablet. For campus campaigns, the CPL is the same for desktop and tablet at $153, with a higher CPL on tablet. And for online campaigns, the CPL on mobile is significantly lower than the CPL on desktop computers or tablets. So moving on to the enrollments and enrollment rates by device. Looking at all campaigns combined, the percentage of enrollments is split, with 46% each from desktop computers and mobile devices. And the desktop enroll rate is slightly higher at 11% over mobile at 10%. Looking at just the campus-based campaigns, mobile devices generate a larger share of enrollments than desktop computers, but desktop still has a slightly higher enroll rate of 11% versus only 10% on mobile. And isolating online-based campaigns, desktop has a significantly larger share of the enrollment volume with 53%, and a much higher enrollment rate of 13% versus only 8% on mobile. So mobile represents a larger share of the conversion volume for campus-based campaigns than it does for online campaigns, since online campaign conversions are still really driven mainly by desktop computers. So moving on, these charts here just help to further visualize the percentage of form lead and enrollment volume by device, which again is showing the average for the entire year of 2015. So we can see for campus form leads, the orange mobile piece of the pie is largest with 49%, as is the mobile percentage for campus enrollments at 48%. For online, although mobile does have a larger share of form leads at 50%, when looking at the actual enrollments, the green desktop piece is still the largest there with 53%. So mobile definitely makes up a significant percent of the form volume being generated for these schools, and we do expect that those orange pieces of the pie will continue to grow with time. And next we'll look at some year-over-year growth that we've already seen in the mobile space for our schools. So these next two charts outline the significant mobile growth that we saw from the second half of 2014 to the second half of 2015. And on these charts, green is representing the second half of 2014 and orange is representing second half of 2015. So here on the top, we have the share of volume for campus-based form leads, and below we have the share of volume for online-based form leads. For campus-based programs, form leads generated from mobile grew 24 points year over year, from 31% of the volume in 2014 to 55% in 2015. For online programs, form leads generated from mobile devices grew 22 points year over year, from 36% of the volume in 2014 to 58% of the volume in 2015. And this chart is showing the share of volume for campus and online form enrollments. For campus-based programs, form enrollments generated from mobile devices grew 17 points year over year, from 36% in 2014 to 53% in 2015. And for online programs, form enrollments generated from mobile devices grew 14 points year over year, from 31% in 2014 to 45% in 2015. So we've definitely seen significant growth here already for the accounts we analyzed, particularly in Q3 and Q4 of 2015. And as mobile traffic continues to mature with continued optimizations made to enhance performance, we expect an even greater share of volume across all of these metrics, so impressions, clicks, inquiries, enrollments, to come from mobile devices in the future. And now we'll move on to our last section, which goes through some campaign planning. So to wrap this up, we'll go through some recommended strategies and predictions for what we can expect to see into 2016. As we move further into 2016, there are a few aspects of PPC that we expect to see more of. So starting with more branded volume. As search competition grows, marketers are doing what they can to generate more inquiries while controlling their media spend. Throughout 2015, higher education institutions became more aggressive with their branded campaigns while pulling back on the more expensive, lower converting, non-branded terms. So we expect to see more of this in 2016, and we do recommend that schools consider bumping up their online and offline branding efforts to drive even more search traffic. At the same time, though, we do warn marketers not to underestimate the value of non-branded campaigns, since they do capture prospective students at earlier stages of that marketing funnel. Brand awareness and engagement during the research stage can be a strong assistance for conversions on branded campaigns as those prospective students, move through the funnel. And we expect to see more campus-based volume. So inquiry volume grew overall in 2015, and especially for the campus-based program campaigns. So we expect to see continued growth in this category throughout 2016, as schools may not be able to afford to be as aggressive for online campaigns, which can be more difficult to convert. So in shifting the budget to campus-based programs, we anticipate more aggressive spending within those tightly defined geographies that have already proven their propensity to convert. And of course, more mobile volume. So last year, mobile search volume officially passed desktop search volume. As a result, mobile inquiry volume also took the lead. However, with the schools we analyzed here, mobile devices only generated the larger share of enrollments for the campus-based program campaigns, while desktop computers still remain the leader for the online program campaigns. But despite this holdup, we still believe that mobile will definitely be at the forefront in 2016, with more advertisers shifting budget to the mobile audience and focusing on growing inbound call volume and making more mobile-specific optimizations to their campaigns. We're also expecting to see more audience targeting. So while search campaigns have historically been keyword focused, we foresee more of an emphasis on audience segmentation throughout 2016. So Customer Match, which was launched by Google AdWords in 2015, it allows advertisers to target lists using email addresses. So this type of feature combined with additional features like audience insights will all help marketers identify and define the demographics and interests of their target audience. And more remarketing. So remarketing has been a core aspect of Google campaigns for years, since it represents a fairly efficient and generally inexpensive opportunity to capture prospects who have already been exposed to your brand but have not yet converted. Bing also released a remarketing option in 2015, so we expect that to be pretty quickly adopted as an extension of a school's existing remarketing efforts. And more ad extensions. So Google continues to introduce ad extension options to help advertisers direct searchers to the most relevant content on their sites. So in addition to providing a superior user experience for them, ad extensions help advertisers occupy more real estate on the search pages. So not surprisingly, using ad extensions typically results in higher click-through rates. So we expect Google to keep coming out with new options for those ad extensions throughout the year. And finally, more cross-channel tracking and attribution. So the performance of search campaigns is impacted by every other marketing channel. So it's not surprising that our brand impressions spike as brand awareness campaigns are launched. With ROI so closely scrutinized, we expect to see tracking initiatives take center stage in 2016 as schools establish and evaluate key performance indicators for online and offline channels. Higher education institutions will be looking to map a prospective student's path across multiple channels, and will use this knowledge to develop and execute cross-channel marketing strategies. So that concludes our review of the PPC white paper, which we encourage all of you to download and read yourselves. And now I'll turn it back over to Michelle to move on to some questions.
Thank you so much, Chelsea. Now, if anyone does have some questions, please type them into the question box on your webinar control panel. Again, if you can't see the control panel at this moment, look for the orange box with the arrow. Click on the arrow and the control panel will expand, allowing you space to type in your questions. Okay, let's see. So our first question is, if my brand is already ranking high organically, should I still be spending money on my brand terms for paid search?
Yes, absolutely. And we actually get this question a lot. So having your ad show in both the paid and the organic spot helps dominate the search results page and establish authority with that searcher. A lot of people, most people, don't differentiate between the paid and the organic listings on the page there, and most will just always click on the first result, which is usually the paid ad. So if you're not protecting your brand and showing in that top paid spot, someone else will be, and that potential competitor will end up getting that click.
Excellent. What are your thoughts on the redesigned AdWords? Do you think it'll help marketers run more efficient campaigns?
Yeah, I think that's good news. It definitely sounds like the goal is to help everyone run more efficient campaigns. I mean, the AdWords design really hasn't changed since 2008, so it's definitely overdue for a facelift. So it sounds like they're going to make it more customizable, revamping some of the tools, improving the workflow, adding more visual options. Basically, the changes should help us make it easier to access the data that's important for your business, which is definitely a plus. So I think the changes are still in a testing phase right now, but should be rolled out gradually throughout the year. So we'll be anxiously awaiting them and eager to test that out.
Thank you. Can you just quickly review again what's the difference between branded and non-branded?
So a branded term is any keyword that has your brand or your trademarked term in it. And a non-branded term would be anything else that doesn't mention the brand, that's just specific to a program or a general phrase. That would be a non-branded term.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, here's a little bit of a long question. Interested in your thoughts on how to convince programs to move to a mobile-first form strategy. I've recommended a small 3 to 5 field short form as a first touch, followed by a longer form and subsequent touch points. Programs balked and are sticking with longer forms. Do you have any suggestions for strengthening my case for short forms?
We would definitely recommend a shorter form. In all of the data that I've seen from Google and even for our own clients, the shorter the amount of form, the shorter the form fields are and the quicker someone can fill out your form and hit submit, the better. Especially moving to mobile devices. I mean, that's pretty much where people seem to be searching these days, and it's even harder to fill out so many form fields with a small device. So any data that you have or any data that you can find that would just speak to the benefit of having a shorter form. We've definitely seen that for our clients, and we've definitely seen that in talking to Google as well. So we definitely keep pushing for that because that should definitely help.
Excellent. Let's see. I know the mobile audience is growing, but I still see the majority of my volume coming from desktop. And looking at my campaigns, mobile devices have higher CPCs and CPLs. Should I still be aggressive?
So like we reviewed here for the analysis of this sample of schools, although the mobile audience is growing overall, it's not necessarily performing the best for any given program or campus or geolocation. So if you see that mobile is not performing well for your campaigns, by all means, pull back, lower your mobile bid adjustments, funnel more budget to devices that are performing for you. And just be sure to, review that performance on a regular basis, particularly down to the enrollment level, since even if the CPL is high, if the CPE is working for you, that's a different story. But just so that when you do start to see mobile performance pick up, you can react pretty quickly.
Okay, actually, that's all the questions we have for today. If you'd like further information, you please feel free to reach out to us at webinars@sparkroom.com. And if you're interested in reviewing the published version of this report yourself, which we highly recommend, you can go to our site at sparkroom.com/resources, and you will see it in the white paper section. Thank you so very much for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you for your time. For more performance marketing resources, including our series of on-demand webinars, go to sparkroom.com/resources.